sword! You idiots! We've all got swords!
Sup, boyos? Very serious video here. Some sad news and some harsh truths about to happen. But before we get into that, I have to tell you about this game. It's called Raid Shadow Legends. Nah, I'm just kidding, but can you imagine, though? Anyway, this video is so serious, I'm gonna put on a tie. I have to be more formal. I can't be so serious dressed the way I am. I have to be more serious. That's good. That's good. First off, big F in the chat for Rockford CCG getting out of the game. Hands down in terms of interviews, talk shows, gameplay footage, the best channel that UFS had. Big F's in the chat for them.
He shared up with Spike too, and he scooped me in because he was out to diversity.
Yeah.
I ended up beating him head to head, maybe.
Yeah, that's probably what you should have done. Yes.
Ridiculous thing to
We're
happen.
that close. If we are that close, we're hitting
Deep diving semantics right as the show starts.
Yes, we are. Of course. Oh, also, are we gonna, after Barrett's done picking, are we gonna let me repick the whole Sub-Zero thing?
No.
Oh. God damn, are you serious?
Tell them how you remember the game going, and whether or not it's true, it doesn't matter as long as it sounds fun.
That's
you know, like just
There is here.
Oh man, look at my life. 24 and there's so much more.
They only watch the show for you and the guests. They don't like me at all. They said that to my face.
At least Scott Tuckman doesn't like me. That guy smells, so who cares?
Love lost such a cost. Give me things that don't get lost. Like a coin that won't get tossed, rolling home to you.
And Chris still sells cards on TCG Player. His name is Rockford UFS, I'm pretty sure. It'd be pretty sweet going away present for people to buy cards from him, I guess. I'm not, because he doesn't have any maze castles, but I would. I would have bought all of his maze castles if he had any. Phase 2. I'm always mostly reluctant to criticize Jasco because I want them to do good. I want to see the game flourish. And negativity isn't very good for that, but sometimes it's needed. Sometimes desperately needed for some good verbal ass whoopings. I'm fair. I give Jasco verbal hand jobs when it's due, but not this video. So first off, I know the why for everything they do. Why did we hire these guys from outside the game from a much bigger card game to help run our game? Well, the why is because our game is hopefully going to blow up and become huge, and we need to change the infrastructure of stuff so that it can accommodate all these new players. So okay, not a bad choice to do that at face value, but looking forward from where we are now, was it the best choice? So let's say that dreams come true and then we get 1 billion new players for universes. That's why we got that white belt thingy-majig going on, so that we can have people that are knowledgeable about the game to host events, because, I mean, the ratio for people that know how stuff works and new players is going to be huge. But at the end of the day, it's still kind of going to be a kind of a shit fest just because of how complex the rules are, and how there's like, I don't know, 5 people in the world who know every single rules question there is for this game, who actually have a full-on comprehension of what's in the rules, because I don't. Shit. I played this game probably 3 times as much as I've played Magic, and I still don't. I'm still not about to go through those rules and find out how layers and stuff works, because generally when I have a rules question I want to know, it's not even easily answerable just by looking in the rules. You have to like have a magistrate interpret the rules for you and find the relevant text. So if we're gonna like hire pros from much larger card games to help our transition into a much larger card game, how about instead we overhaul the rules, just to make them simpler, especially ours. Ours should probably be kind of like Magic, where they only have very specific places where they can happen. And in this game, that would be places like before and after a control check, before and after a card is played, before or after phases, before or after an ability is played or it resolves. I don't know, I'm not a rules pro, but something like that. Before or after damage is dealt. Generally a bunch of like places that should have their own phase. Like, just to make reversal easier, there should be like an actual phase and an attack that comes after it resolves, called like the reversal step, where it's this little window you get to play an attack that has the reversal keyword. And then you don't even have to have all the cards that interact with reversals say card played as a reversal. It just has to say card played during the reversal step. It's just a bunch of stuff like that that would make the game a lot easier for people to learn. And it would still be the same game pretty much, but with a lot less complex abilities. And the way the game works now, ours pretty much just happen whenever, willy-nilly, which is kind of cool, I guess, but it's just a rules nightmare. So the game would be a lot more simpler if the rules got simplified too, and it would be a lot harder to design cards, because you'd have to design them with those constraints in mind about how ours can only happen at specific times and stuff. I think that would probably be the best thing to do to the game to make this game accessible to a very mainstream audience. Because the way we're going right now, it's still not very accessible because of the rules, and it's still not going to be very accessible because the rules after it transitions to universes, even though we're going to have the whole white belt thing. So I think having these guys on to help run our game is kind of redundant when it's not going to help the core issue. And how telling is it that these guys who are going to help run our game signed on to judge at Nats, and they don't know enough. Obviously, they don't know enough to judge. So that was kind of a joke. Even if it's just for practice, they still shouldn't have been allowed to judge. And the reason people in this game do know how much they know, it's because they have a lot of gameplay experience. A lot, which is something that I don't think these guys are ever going to have. They're going to be like stuck on white belt status their whole career running this game. Well, I can't speak to both of them. They're kind of like the same entity to me. And this might not be their fault. It might be like Jason's decision that they just I don't even know who they are. Who are these people?
Who are you people?
Like, we know most of the other Jasco employees, and everyone loves them. Tim, Fam, JC, Butler. We love those guys. And they're great. They interact with the community all the time. They talk to us. They play casual games all the time at events and stuff. They're very involved with the game, but it's just kind of outlandish that these two guys kind of at the top of the food chain that are going to run the game. And I know one of their names is like Alex, I think, but otherwise I don't know who they are. Is it supposed to be like that? Is it because they're used to running a giant card game where like their names, there's just too many people to interact with, so it doesn't matter to them or something? It's a non-issue where they come from. But it just feels weird here. It's really weird that I don't know anything about them. But it's my opinion. It shows I don't think they actually care all that much about their jobs anyway. I'm aware that's a very serious thing to levy against somebody, but there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of signs. Let's look at the ways. When that old rules doc got uploaded to the new site, the new working site, it could have been a working rules doc, or it could have been just old like they said. But the fact that it has like no IDs in it, that shows how out of touch those guys are with this game. I do appreciate that suplex joke. I appreciate that a lot. That was good. The fact they don't interact with players at all, pretty much, well, as far as I know, they don't interact with players in any meaningful way. The fact that they weren't cut out to judge at Nats and I don't know, maybe other events that they have judged at, just shows that they aren't big into playing the game, it seems like. And the last reason I don't think at least one of them doesn't give a shit about their job, and this is the big one for me. And I know one of them was uploading deck lists for Nats, and I know it was one of those guys because they used a really ghetto busted site and a PDF to put the lists in that was jank as hell. So that's how I know it was one of them. Didn't update it to be a proper deck list until Phil Birch did the job for them. At least a week later, I don't know. Weeks later. Much later. Too long, basically. But even despite all of that, they put the wrong deck list up. This is something I noticed as soon as Phil put up his list. I noticed that they put up my wrong deck list for singles. But contrary to what you might think, I don't like controversy all that much, so I didn't say anything, but I'm saying it now. Because now I think it's important for people to know. My singles list that was uploaded in that ghetto busted PDF site is the same as my team's deck, which is wrong. He just copied and pasted my team's deck where my singles deck was because they look close enough. It's what it seems like. But after I played my first day of teams, I changed 3 cards up for my singles list. I took out Last of His Kind and 1 Spiders to put in 3 copies of Nightmare Taurus because I knew how important that would be against the Raptor matchup after playing it. Which was stupid of me, but it's okay. It didn't matter. I never played Raptor in teams anyway, or in top teams. It's okay. So yeah, did a half-ass job of uploading the Nats lists, and didn't even upload the right list in the first place, which is kind of like if this was in Magic, and the wrong top 4 singles list was uploaded, and it's been that way for a long time now. That's a pretty big scandal for a big game. But I don't care. I don't care that much, but I care now that I'm seeing this pattern. This pattern pertaining to this particular topic I'm talking about. But I know no matter what, the game's still gonna be really good. I'm still gonna play it. That doesn't matter. I'm just letting you know, whoever's watching. I don't think, I can't speak to both of them because I don't even really know how to tell them apart other than what they're like the same entity in my mind just because I don't know enough. At least one of them probably, in my opinion, doesn't give a shit about their job, and if they're helping out run the game on the inside, that's cool. Then nothing has to change. But yeah, just stay the course. Keep maybe they're so good at their job that's why they don't give a shit about it because they're so good at it. I don't know. Me and everyone else who plays this game for the right reasons, which is because it's a really good game, the best game there is, are still gonna keep playing it for that reason. But we're just not going to like how you run it, that's all. And I'm not trying to burn bridges, I'm just trying to say I think you should do something else to transition this game into the big time. Hire some guy who's shit hot at Magic the Gathering rules to rework our rules so that they're simpler. And if you did that, you could also make this game into a video game. I know that's something that's you've toyed with. But the way the game's going right now, either 2 things are going to happen when the Universes happens. It's either we're still going to be small time. We're not going to have a giant, huge influx of players like we're hoping. And then, who cares? It doesn't matter. Or we do get a giant, massive influx of players and it's kind of a shitstorm just because of how the rules are. How the game mechanics are, which, if you design cards just to be simpler, I guess that would help. Maybe you're doing that already when you design cards. I don't know. I think in a perfect world you would have put Fam where that other position is, running the game, basically doing all the game rules and the floor rules. And there's probably like a dozen people at least that could do pretty much Fam's job, which is mostly designing sets. And if you, in that way, you would only have people that actually care about this game, working on it, running it. Because right now, you guys got guys at the top of the food chain that don't really care about that game, I'm pretty sure. So that's why for my grade for Jasco is an A+. No dissent allowed. It's only sparkly rainbows and butterflies here, kids. A+ all the way. A+, baby.